This is a question that springs to the minds of many people. And the response is multifold. First and foremost, and I don't direct this only to you, it's actually to everybody here. It is not of much benefit to us to think about what is going to happen to other people. And to concentrate too much on this is actually problematic for us. We leave their affairs to Allah, that's the general rule. And the general rule as well is ask questions that are of benefit to us. And this is, we derive it from the Prophet ﷺ's hadith, that my ummah shall remain in good until they start asking about the children of the idol worshippers. Interesting, vague hadith. My ummah will remain good until they begin asking about the children of the idol worshippers. Some of the scholars have interpreted this hadith, my ummah shall remain in good until they start debating about issues that are of no concern to them. I mean, what difference does it make to us what is going to happen? Allah is the most knowledgeable, Allah is the most merciful, Allah is the most wise, Allah is the most just. Let's leave it at that. That's one response, and that's level one. And again, this is not just directed to you, akhi, don't feel, because this is, everybody has this question on their minds, right? And so the scholars say, and this is again, I'm not the one saying that, again, this we find in our books of theology, that this is a fundamental problem with many people. They worry about others too much. And Islam tells us to worry about ourselves. Alaykum anfusakum. Worry about yourself, and that's and when you do that, then you actually go very far. When you think about other people a lot, what happens is you get lazy, and then you think yourself, mashallah, all high and mighty, right? That's the first point. The second point, after having said, don't ask, I will then answer anyway, because there is a theological benefit here. Scholars have differed greatly over this issue, and the bottom line is that people who had access to the teachings of Islam or knew monotheism but did not avail themselves to that knowledge, they will not have an excuse in the eyes of Allah. And this particular person, Abdullah ibn Jud'an, there's a hadith in Bukhari that Aisha asked. Aisha is the distant niece, the great niece or grand niece, whatever, of Abdullah ibn Jud'an. And Aisha says, O Messenger of Allah, Ibn Jud'an was a great man who was kind to the neighbors and good to the people. What will be his fate? What will happen to him? So the Prophet ﷺ said, he is going to the fire. So Aisha says, why? So he says, and listen to this, he never said once, Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli. Now, this is a very interesting point here. And I said this 2-3 days ago in the halaqah that I was having at night. In our times, people consider piety and righteousness to be only being good to others. If you're good to other people, khalas, that's all we need from you. You will go to heaven. If you open up an orphanage in Calcutta, khalas, you will become world famous. Doesn't care what you believe, doesn't care if you think God has a son, this becomes irrelevant, right? If you open up a hospital, if you're smiling to everybody, oh, he was a good and loving man. In this hadith we learn, no, that's all fine and dandy, yes, but there's an element that you need to do as well, and that is even more important than being good to others, and that is believing in the one who created you and worshipping the one who created you. In the end of the day, being good to people is good, but worshipping Allah is better and more important. Of what use is it to be good to mankind when you deny the one who gave you the greatest good, and that is Allah? And so this person, Ibn Jud'an, never once did he say, Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli. He lived a life carefree of religion. He didn't have any religiosity. And so, it's a very simple question. Why should Allah forgive somebody who never asked for forgiveness? Why should Allah reward somebody who never did anything for His sake? Very logical question, right? Why should Allah reward somebody? In our times, the verdict of piety is based completely on how good you are to others. In Islam, the verdict of piety is based on two things: what you believe and how good you are. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Both go together. You need to have the proper belief and do it for Allah, and then you need to have good amal that follows along with that. If you have one without the other, it is of no use. It is of no use. And we say this very clearly as well. Just because somebody says they're a Muslim doesn't mean anything. Does not mean anything. And we believe as Muslims that no human being has the right to say, you're going to Jannah and you're going to hell. No. You don't say this of anybody unless Allah has said it. So we say Abu Bakr is going to Jannah, Iblis is going to hell. I can say this because Allah told me. We say Umar is going to Jannah, Fir'aun is going to hell. We say this because Allah has told me. Otherwise, we don't say of any person, even the greatest scholars, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, we say we hope they're going to Jannah. Insha'Allah, they're going to Jannah. But we don't say categorically. And the same applies for the worst people on earth. We don't mention names and say, so-and-so is going to hell. We don't say this. Why? Because who am I? Who am I? We leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we speak in generalities. Whoever believes in Allah and does righteousness will go to paradise. This is generalities. And I hope to be amongst them. And whoever rejects Allah or does not act in righteousness will go to the fire of hell, and I seek refuge in Allah from being amongst them. And this is something we're very clear about. Our religion is a religion where you need to have the proper belief and the proper action. And if you have one without the other, you're not going to get there. And the people in the time of the Prophet's early life, they knew the true religion of Ibrahim. And they knew that Ibrahim was not an idol worshipper. And yet they simply wanted to ignore and live a carefree life, and therefore they were not, the majority of them were not forgiven because of that.